you said, when you just,
I have 7 o'clock to call the meeting to order, the regular city council meeting of the city of Franklin called to order. I will ask for a moment of silence. Did you want to bring that up? Doc, go ahead. You have to push the button.
May we have a moment of silence for the young man who lost his life on Laurel Street, and for Mr. McCarty, Board of Supervisors, that passed away, Vice Chair of the Jail Board.
From Isle of White County. Yes.
From Isle of White County.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
From Isle of White County. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd ask everybody to silence their cell phones, and I need to do a roll call of the members. Dr. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Kitchen?
Here.
Ms. Banks?
Here.
Ms. Copeland?
Here.
Mr. McLemore? And myself, Paul Kaplan, present. Silence your cell phones, please, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please be seated. We have one person signed up for citizens' time, it's Mr. Hart. If you'll come forward, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. As you come up to the podium, I think we all know who you are. Please state your name and your address. There's a timer at the podium. Green light starts the timing, limited to 3 minutes. Solid yellow light shows you that we have 1 minute left. A flashing yellow means you have 30 seconds left, and then red means time is over.
3 or 30?
3 minutes. Did I say 30? I don't think so.
Well, first, before I get started, my name is Jim Hart. I'm the owner and operator of Hart Realty and Hart Construction Company on Armory Drive. Before I get too far along, I'd like to just say to our Public Works Department, they've done an outstanding job during this snow we've had, and I think they're going to get another opportunity probably, because just beginning of February coming up, so they'll have another opportunity to show themselves off. But kudos to our city and our Power and Light, because we lost some power during that time. It's a good thing that we have our own little power company here in Franklin. We don't have to depend on somebody else coming in here and taking care of it. So they did a wonderful job, and kudos to them. I'm here tonight. I just want to talk about the signs that are all around town. They are just, we have a sign ordinance. We need to enforce it. They're on public property, and they're also on private property that they haven't gotten permission for. They haven't asked permission to put it on there. And I know that for a fact, because they put signs, some of them on my property, without asking as well. So I know they're not asking for permission. We need to do something. On the way here tonight, I counted 24 signs between my office on Armory Drive and College Drive, which is approximately a mile. And then there was more coming on downtown. It litters our city. It looks bad. We do have the ability to enforce that kind of thing. If nothing else, just go pull them up and throw them away. They'll get the opportunity. They'll get the message. One company that's putting their signs out, they have them as far as Suffolk and almost Emporia. So we need to get on these signs and make our sign our city look a little bit prettier. I really would like to see something done about that. Other than that, just thank you all doing a wonderful job. Hope you've settled in very well, Ms. Oglesby, to the city of Franklin, and are happy. And thank you for the opportunity to come up here and speak to you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next thing on our agenda is the first item of business, introduction of a new employee. That goes to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I sent you all an email regarding this, but I just wanted to bring her here in person so you all could see her. This is Tamika Morgan. She is serving as our interim finance director. She comes to us with over 19 years of accounting and finance experience, including 11 years of service at various localities such as Caroline County and Colonial Heights. And this is Tamika Morgan. She'll be with here for some time until we fill the position.
Thank you for coming. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, just thank you for the opportunity to serve you.
Very good. We're glad to have you.
Thank you
very much. Anybody from council have any questions? All right. Okay. We move on to the consent agenda. Before you use the consent agenda for approval, if there's any item on the consent agenda that you would like to move to the regular agenda for discussion, is there any? Excuse me. Is there any? Okay. If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the agenda for tonight and the minutes from January the 13th? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay, okay. And aye. Motion carries. We move on to the city manager's report, and I yield to Ms. Oglesby.
Okay, the first item that you have before you is an item that council had discussed before in previous meetings. This is regarding amending Chapter 30, Garbage and Refuse. Back in May of 2024, council made some changes regarding the placement of garbage cans. And in that chapter, it states that anybody that violates any portions of that ordinance is subject to a fine and a misdemeanor. I don't think it was council intent to have that apply to placement of garbage cans at times for them to place it out and remove it. So this section would be amended to remove that penalty to residents who do not place their garbage cans out by a certain time or remove it by a certain time. And it just says that the actual language that it's going to amend to say that a violation of this section shall not include any fines or criminal prosecution. By doing this amendment, it just means that residents can leave that out. We have no way of forcing them to remove it back. We just asked them to move it back by that certain time.
Thank you very much. City managers presented the ordinance amending Chapter 13 Garbage and Refuse, Section 13-8, placement of containers at collection sites. Do I have a motion to approve?
So be it.
Do I have a second? Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing none?
Aye.
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 And don't forget you have to push your button.
Aye.
Thank you. And motion carries unanimously. All right, city manager?
Okay, the second item before you is a budget amendment to accept a grant from the Franklin Baptist Church Faithful Workshop Sunday School class. This is a donation that they have done for a while to our police department to help out with supplies that the police can purchase as they need it. This is a $200 donation. By accepting this donation, it would increase our FY 24-2025 budget by the said amount and increase the expenditure line for the police department by such.
Thank you very much. City manager has presented a resolution amending the 2024-25 city operating budget for a donation from Franklin Baptist Church Faithful Worker Sunday School class to the Franklin Police Department in the amount of $200. Do I have a motion to accept?
So be it.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? All right, I'll go on to the vote.
Aye.
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 And aye. That motion carries. All right. City manager?
Okay, the next item before you is to actually have you vote on an amendment that I took a poll on in December when it came to paying off of the Series 2022 General Obligation Note bonds. At the time that we was doing the payoff, the city had not actually used the funds that they borrowed, and this was in reference to the roof projects with the schools. And at the time, the city had only drawn down just a portion of it, $2 million. And although we did not spend the money, we actually had a payment that was due. And so at the time, administration used the interest that was paid on that to make that payment. So that's when I polled council when it was time to pay off this loan and asked if I could use part of the contingency fund that was already budgeted to make this payment, and you all did agree by consensus, and this is just the formal vote before council to do just that.
Thank you very much. You've heard the presentation from the city manager. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution amending the 2024-25 city operating budget to transfer $157,118 from city council contingency fund to the 2022 LOC financing cost line as per the 2022 general obligation note?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? No discussion? Dr. Johnson, if you'll start.
Aye.
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 Nay.
All right. And aye. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Back to City Manager Oglesby.
Okay, and the last item before you is our standard agreement that we have with the Virginia Department of Health for services that is provided through the Franklin Health Department. The Virginia Department of Health, Franklin Health Department receives from the state $440,748, and the city has to provide a local match of $106,500. These dollars are already appropriated as part of the current budget. This is just approval of the agreement.
All right, you've heard the presentation from the city manager. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
All right. There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this matter? Okay, let's start.
Aye.
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 And aye. Motion carries. All right. Moves us on to new business. Do we have any new business to discuss under boards and commissions? Anybody have any reports? Did you, Dr. Johnson, did you want to mention the passing of Mr. McCarty again?
Yes, I was going to do it.
Don't forget the button.
I was going to do it on B.
Okay, all right, I'm
Item
sorry.
B.
Okay, I'm sorry. Included in your, I'm sorry, if you included in your information, Senate Bill 1404 in reference to school boards, method of selection and election required. It's a Senate bill requiring,
B. Council comments?
council comments, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Council comments.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I would just like to say that our hearts go out for Mr. McCarty and his loss, County Board of Supervisors. He was on many committees, and we worked. He was the vice chair of the jail board. And I don't know of any arrangements yet. I talked to Commander, but when it is, we will respond
Certainly.
and represent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Council comments.
Is that Mr.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Johnson's comments?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a few words, and it's up to you, Mayor, Captain, or our contracted attorney to cut me off. But I want to say, Ms. Oglesby, I believe everyone is entitled to meetings with you. You have been an open door policy, and you are very accessible and straightforward. I never sent you an email or a response that hasn't been responded to very quickly. I have no idea who would accuse you of not communicating equally with all of us, but I can assure everyone in this room that is not the case. Please stand firm and don't fall to the bullying and scare tactics which have forced your predecessors to vacate their office. Keep doing what you were doing. God bless.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Banks?
My comments tonight are just in reference to council and how we carry out things as a council. So when we do receive applications for various positions that we discuss in closed session, then I don't believe there should be a different set of rules for other people. I think as a council, we continue to agree the majority rule. Sometimes we don't get our way, but in no form or fashion should that allow any one of us to go against the grain and dismiss what everybody else is standing for. So I think we need to keep that in mind because we are a council, we work for the people, and confidentiality is a serious thing. So those are my comments for tonight.
I would just like to say I agree with Councilman Kitchen and Councilwoman Banks. And a couple of more items that I would like to bring up. A citizen questioned me about the Southview Cemetery maybe having a directory. And Councilwoman Banks and I were talking about our unhoused population. We need to really look into this matter because it's beginning to be overwhelming. So I don't know if we could partner with, partner with an agency, but we really, as a council, need to look into this. And also, citizens has always been concerned about utility payments, but I think we need to work on changing the due date because a lot of our seniors do not receive their funds until after the first of the month. So that's another thing I feel we need to look into. That ends my comments.
Certainly.
So I just want to address, it slipped my mind, and thank you, Vice Mayor Copeland, for bringing it back up about the homeless population in Franklin. So Celebration Church on February 1st at 6:00 p.m., I think they're having a meeting to discuss that situation. So if anybody's interested in partnering, we can start there. I'm going to be at the meeting just to see what I can do to help and bring back to our city manager any ideas. I've spoke to a couple of people within the city I know that owns properties, and we're just trying to get some groundwork, but it breaks my heart to see that man walking. And I know he has a dog, a pet, and he does not want to part ways with his pet. So therefore, he resides in a tent behind Walgreens in the woods. And we all saw the snow on the ground, we all felt the temperatures, but a lot of us had warm homes to go home to and comfortable beds, and he did not. And I just think, once again, just piggybacking off of what she said, our city is too small. Even if he does have an animal, it's too small not to really be able to accommodate that man and his pet. So, yeah, that concludes my comments. Thank you for allowing me to speak again.
Certainly. Mr. McLemore?
No comment.
Okay. I echo what Mr. Kitchen said about access. I find access to Ms. Oglesby has been very, very open. Has not refused my request for a meeting at all. That they have many of them, but when I need one, being new on the council and specifically being mayor of the city, new to the dais, I've found her to be very, very, very approachable and a good ear to lead me into the proper ways of doing things here. And obviously our homeless situation is worse than we wanted, and hopefully we can work something. I would think social services might be our within city agency would be our agency to lead that, but that remains to be seen. I was also invited to the meeting at Celebration Church. I'm out of town that night, so if you will, please. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. Okay. All right. Very good. We got three going.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just make this comment very quickly. In the past, the city of Suffolk and the city of Franklin had an arrangement. I don't know about now, but they had an arrangement for the homeless. And Suffolk has a shelter, and even Norfolk reached out as well. Perhaps we can reach out to them and see what we can do.
What might be available?
Yes. Because I saw the gentleman toting his dog, and I was on my way here. He was toting the dog instead of the dog walking, and it was just sad.
It is.
Sad.
It is. Mr. Kitchen?
Ms. Peterson and I started something about 2.5 years ago to help the homeless, and one of the many things that slipped through the cracks. So whatever we can do. Ms. Peterson, any comment how far we came, how far we didn't come, the obstacles that we face? It's all kinds of permits and licenses to get anywhere for homeless people. And most homeless people want to be that way, but we tried. If we could pick that up, it'd be absolutely wonderful.
All right. Again, anything else? Nope. All right. Included in your information is information about Senate Bill 1404, where I started to go a few minutes ago, in reference to school boards and how they're selected. This proposal would have required all jurisdictions in the state go to an elected school board. It's my personal opinion that we've had very good success here in Franklin with a school board that the city council selects, and at this point, it was reported to me yesterday actually, that this was killed in subcommittee. Ms. Oglesby looked that up a couple times today to see if it posted on the state's website, on General Assembly's website, but it still wasn't posted as of later this afternoon. But we believe it has been killed in committee. But we want to I think, again, in my opinion, this is my opinion, not the board's, the council's opinion. I would like to know more about how the council feels of this before I make any bold statements in Richmond, or to Richmond. But if it is the council's consensus that we stay with a selected school board, I think this would be a good year to start that process so that our General Assembly knows that that those of us that have selected school boards like the system and find it to be very successful. Dr. Johnson, you have a comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I would like to say there are pros and cons with an elected school board and one that is appointed. And as you know, we've had success with appointed school board. And one of the things that points out to me is City Council would lose the power of selecting members of the school board, basically, and that means that with that aspect of it, you would we've had some experiences before that the board had to act for the betterment of the school, and we would lose that power.
So my comments would be, as a former appointed school board member in Wards 5 and 6, the pro for me would be the relationship that we are building with our the school board members in our wards. So by us being able to appoint, we can establish more so of a relationship and build that bond between them to ensure that the city is there for them in the capacity that we can be. I am in favor of the selected board as well.
I follow Mrs. Banks. I'm in favor of the selected or appointed school board member.
Mr. McLemore?
No comment.
No comment, okay. I've already expressed my opinion. I think that we build a relationship with that school board and we can get more done together than we can fighting each other over things, and it becomes political. One of the things that the board shared with me is they get paid $4,000 a year and it costs you $800 to $1,000 to run a campaign. Who would jump into that in a small jurisdiction like this? So I know there's pros and cons to both sides, but I see the elected school boards as being very political. So that's right. Okay, I now defer to City Manager for reports on pending items.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to just make a clarification, if I heard correctly, that the meeting that is taking place at Celebration Church is going to be 3 council members going?
Oh, yes.
Correct. So only thing we have to do is just advertise that council members will be attending the meeting, as well as the one that we're going to do, because I have 3 people going to the General Assembly. So that would be advertised too. I just have Kim to advertise both meetings, that council will be present at those meetings.
Thank you.
And so the first thing I'm going to report on under pending items regarding freestanding signs. As Councilman Kitchen asked about this, we do have one code enforcer who is responsible for going through around to remove the signs. She is doing that, but just as quickly as she can pull them back down, some are going up. In the meantime, to assist her with this, I have hired a part-time code enforcement person to work with her, as well as this is her first time in that position. This person comes with a lot of years of experience, so they're gonna help her as well learn to be more proactive and to be able to do things. And just to remind everybody, our code does state that you cannot affix any signs to trees, poles, or streets. And this is mostly pertaining to public right-of-way. Private stuff we do not govern, but they are supposed to get those permissions to do so. And our code does say that any city employee may pull those up. So when I talk to our senior staff in the morning, I would just ask them if they are out, especially our public works guys, if they see the signs, to pull them up, so we can stop having that litter the city, as far as that goes.
Thank you, ma'am.
And then the second item was regarding the, I'm gonna do them out of, well, no, I'll do them in order. The second item was the mobile food truck ordinance. I looked this up. Council had a public hearing and made a motion at that hearing to pass this ordinance, and this was on August the 28th of 2023. It referenced to amend the zoning ordinance, section, Article 2, section 2.13. However, in our zoning ordinance, it currently deals with the special regulations of multifamily dwellings. So this section was never added to the zoning ordinance, and that section in the zoning ordinance was already occupied. So you have something that was passed that was never implemented in part of the zoning ordinance. And council also that night did a comprehensive update, and this part was never added to that comprehensive update. But by that ordinance, it says no more than 12 food trucks. It's just not codified anywhere. And then the last thing is the utility billing. As we had with many people to state that billing, they received their bills pretty late, and that was due to, one, for weather, and then also, two, with the closing of the post office due to the memorial ceremony for the passing of one of our presidents. Just to give you a little bit of background about the process, the utility customer service emails over to our third-party vendor the bill no later than by the 5th of the month. If that third-party vendor receives it by 10 a.m., it goes out in the mail the same day. The same day. If not, it goes out the next day. Ironically, looking at the code, the due date for the utility billing is set by code, and it's been set since 1962 to be due on the 20th of each month. That code does not give the city manager the authority to provide any type of extension. So I guess if council wants to change that, they will have to amend that code to change the due date, as well as add the language to allow the city manager to have the authority to do an extension on the due date, as well as the late fee that's charged by code as well.
And that's not a percentage, is it? It's a set fee, is it not?
I think it's a set fee.
Yeah. So,
And it might, and I don't know, I could double check, it might be a my mind is saying 1.15%, but let me get that, and then
Okay.
I'll provide that to you.
so if I understand what you're saying, all we need to do is change the ordinance, amend the ordinance to change the due date, and that would be a fairly simple procce.
The same as we did with the garbage truck.
Right.
We just
So
have to
you
get the city
bring it to
attorney
us
to,
For our next meeting?
Or-
If that was
and at an upcoming meeting, yes.
in an upcoming meeting, okay? Now, can we have
Yes.
discussion on that matter?
That's up to you all. I just need to know the consensus of council.
Oh, well, Mr. Mayor, it's my feeling that we should amend it and allow the city manager to do study to come up with a date and have the authority to carry out what she needs to carry out.
Well, that would be to bring it back to council.
Yes,
Yes.
to bring it back to council,
All right.
and we would vote on it after she give us some guidance as to what we're going to do.
I think that would be, in my opinion, a very good idea. Mr. Kitchen, any comment?
I agree.
All right. Thanks.
I really don't see a need for a study. We all pretty know that majority of the people would probably prefer around the first of the month. That's just tradition. That's just my opinion. But if the consensus of council is to have a study done, then I'm for a study, but generally around the beginning of the month and not is typical.
Yeah, I mean, I would go with,
Well, not so much a study, but we need some guidance and directions as to what to do. And so basically, I know we know what to do, but
So what do we need, I need to be clear, what do we need to study on?
don't forget to
Well-
push your button. and vote.
I just want to be clear. I need clarity. What do we need to study on then?
no, I was saying not necessarily a study, but the city manager has to give us navigations as to what date, and just like you brought up the first, what date, and how she's going to address the other part. She has to give us some information,
But
so
I
we can
get-
act on that. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't really have to be a study, per se.
Ms. Copeland?
I mean, I'm in agreement with modifying the ordinance.
Ms. McLemore?
I'm fine.
To leave it like it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems that, I agree, I think, basically, I used to get the bill about the 10th of the month, and it was due by the 20th, and sometimes I found that tight. I'm on a budget bill now the city offers, which is a very nice service, and my bill varies during the year, but it balances out to about the same amount every month, and I pay that budget amount. But a lot of people aren't in a position to do that for one reason or another, and they like the times of the year when the bills are very low, and fear the times of the year when the bills are high. But I would definitely be in favor of. I said to the city manager, not yesterday, but Friday. Why don't we do it the last day of the month? But actually, the first of the month makes more sense, because it's always the first is always the first.
And that's typical payday. So let me clarify. So I mean, most people get paid around the 1st or the 15th. So if we're going to help our citizens, then I mean, I think we should just take those 2 days into consideration. But I'm more pro the 1st or the end of the month, the last day or the first day.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something?
Yes, certainly, Ms. McLemore.
I think the only amendment needs to be made is that the city manager has the authority in certain circumstances to delay or to extend the time as the past city manager would do. So we don't necessarily have to have a study or an amendment, with the exception of allowing the city manager to make that decision based on the circumstances.
So you're saying it would be varied. One month we'd leave it at the 20th, and another month.
Rather than change it, because they had reasons and specific reasons that they put the bills where they are. As the city manager becomes familiar with the city ordinances and the request of the citizens, things of that nature, this was a unique situation, and it was brought to council's attention last week. I do believe you did make an adjustment to accommodate for it. So therefore, as long as it's being accommodated for, I don't see any reason to change what we already have.
But I believe the city manager said the code does not give her that authority. She's
That's
taken
why
in
I
the
said
past.
amend it to give
Oh,
her
I see.
the
I'm sorry.
authority.
I see what you said.
Well, I still say that I feel that the utility bills should be due either the first of the month or the end, because again, most of our seniors, they receive their checks the first of the month. And to avoid penalties, if we're trying to help our citizens, then we should change the utility payment date.
So I think the consensus, most of you, and I agree, the end of the month or the first of the month would be our preference, then to leave it like it is and change it as necessary. If there were extenuating circumstances, you could still, if we put that in the amendment, that we'd give the city manager that authority, then if there was a catastrophic situation and you needed to change it, you would have that authority. Can you draft a bill
Yes, I
for
can
us?
get with the attorneys to do that, but I
Yes.
would really
Yeah.
prefer it an exact date that council would like for that to be at, so that
So I
the
have a
attorneys
question.
can work to
I'm
that.
sorry, I have a question for clarity. So you said it hadn't been changed since 1962? So what extenuating circumstances, Mr. McLemore, took place with the city that would be an obstruction to changing the date? Because I thought you just said that certain circumstances happened as to why they did the 20th. So I'm curious, and I wasn't here in 1962, so I need to know.
You were referring to this last month, weren't you?
I said that, first of all, let me clarify. When I said it's fine with me, I meant whatever consensus of council is. I don't care what you do. Do whatever you want to do.
All right, I needed clarity because, yeah, thank you. So,
Thank you. So do we need to take a vote on what day it needs to be?
Yes, I do would like to know what date you all would like it to
Okay.
be.
Do we want the first or the last day of the month?
I would say the first, just mine.
Yeah, my thought, the first is always the first, where the last day of the month could be the 28th, the 30th, or the 31st. It'll float.
Different last days of the month,
Right.
but the first is always the first.
Mr. Kitchen?
I agree.
First?
First.
So do we need a motion to do this? Because we're just bringing it forward to
Yes, it
carry.
will come out before you. Just keep in mind also too, it's probably gonna take a couple of billing cycles in order for it to take into effect.
Thank you.
And we'll vote on it then.
We voted on it at that point. Thank you very much. I also want to apologize to everybody. As I mentioned at the beginning, to silence everybody's telephone. I was the one person in the room that didn't silence their telephone, and I apologize for that. Appears it's time to go into closed session. Who is going to read that? Mr. Kitchen? Oh, you are.
Pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3, discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of publicly held real property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. Pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, for the purpose of discussing, considering, or interviewing prospective candidates for employment.
Entertain a, I'm sorry? Do we have a first? You first, and a second from Ms. Banks. Let's entertain that motion, and we, all those in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
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 And aye. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going into closed session, but we're going to stay in this room, so we thank you for coming. Yeah, the mics are pretty sensitive. I'm hot. My mic's hot. Okay. Right here. Reconvene. Oh, that's my, what I say.
should be in number 6.
Number 6. Reconvene regular session.
It doesn't give us our certification speech.
It will, I think number 7.
Oh, in the book, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I move
Yeah.
that the City Council of Franklin, Virginia reconvene in open meeting.
Oh, that'd be a second.
Aye.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
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 And aye. All right, and then we have the certification. Gotcha. Have you got that in your book?
I can't get used to this book. I hereby move that each council member certify to the best of his or her knowledge on the public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Freedom of Information Act and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded. Any member of the public body who believes that there was a departure from the requirements of clauses and shall so state prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that in his or her judgment has taken place. The statement shall be recorded in the minutes of the public body.
So I would like to take advantage of this time to actually do that. While we were in closed session, we were belittled. We were told we were degenerates, we were ignorant, and a lot of other things by one of our fellow council members, and he was asked to leave. And that, of course, was not in our closed session
Not the plans of our closed session, yes,
or on the agenda.
on the agenda. All right.
He had to be censored.
Yeah, I move that, the council member be.
Should we name the council member?
Yes.
But before you all
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Oglesby.
do that, she made her statement, right, to certify that there was a departure.
Yes.
Okay, and then I think after she makes her statement to certify that there was a departure, and she has made that, now you all still need to go, I think, and take a vote on the meeting noting the departure.
Okay, that the departure
So take that
occurred.
vote and then go and do the other part that you was about to do, Johnson, so do that first.
Oh, do we need there's no motion for that, it's just we're,
You do, what you have in your notes.
I'm sorry.
You just have to say that,
Pursuant to the requirements of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3712, I will now entertain a motion that the City Council of Franklin, Virginia reconvene in open. No.
So you asked, are there any council members who wish to make a statement? They did.
They did.
And so
Okay.
now you want to do a roll
Call.
call noting that there was
There was a departure. Okay, Dr. Johnson? That's quite all right, thank you.
Here?
Aye.
Well, aye.
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 And aye. All right. And then we're going to take a motion for censure? Is there a motion
Yeah.
for censure?
Yeah, I move, that we take a motion.
Wait a minute, one more thing, just in case we get, called by the agenda people. I think you might want to make a motion for us to amend the agenda to address the same censure.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Do you want to make a motion for us to amend the agenda to address the sanction?
Yes, we do.
Yes, I want to take a motion for
Amending the agenda.
amending
to
the
add an
agenda
item.
to add,
Well, I'll do it and then you do it.
okay.
I move that we amend the agenda to take censure on the city council member, no.
First, just make the motion to amend the agenda.
Amend the agenda.
Do that first.
Amend the agenda.
I move that we amend the agenda.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor, start with Dr. Johnson.
Aye.
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 And aye.
Now you need to address adding the item that you wish to be addressed.
Mr. Mayor, the item that we should adjust is Councilman McLemore to be censured for calling the city council out of name and degenerate and so forth, ignorant, derogatory language, defamation of character,
All right.
that it be censured.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor, start with Dr. Johnson.
Aye.
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 And aye. Motion carried. And then we finish the coming out of closed session? You already did that. Oh, okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have to certify. We haven't done that yet. Oh, okay, we didn't say certify like we did last time. Okay. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second. Okay.
Aye.
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 And aye.